They may not notice the window, Gisbilla hissed. Be quiet. They crouched on the floor. Steps trampled through the pins in bewildering succession. Then they were gone. All clear now, Gisbilla whispered, but they'll have searchlights any minute. Come on, Gully, out! But the door to the clinic, Giz, I thought... There is no door. They use spiral stairs and they pull them up. They thought of this escape too. We'll have to try the laundry lift. God knows what good it'll do us. Gully, you fool! You utter fool! They climbed through the observation window, back into the pens. They searched the darkness for the lifts by which soiled uniforms were removed and fresh uniforms issued. And in the darkness, the automatic hands again soaped, sprayed, and disinfected them. They could find nothing. The caterwauling of a siren suddenly echoed throughout the caverns, silencing all others. There came a hush as suffocating as the darkness. They're using G-phone to track us, Gully. The what? Geophone. It can trace a whisper through half a mile of solid rock. That's why they siren for silence. The laundry lift? Can't find it. Then come on. Where? We're running. Where? I don't know, but I'm not getting caught flat-footed. Come on, the exercise will do you good. As he thrust Gisbilla before him, and they ran, gasping and stumbling through the blackness, down into the deepest regions of South Quadrant, Gisbilla fell twice, blundering against turns in the passages. Foyle took the lead and ran, holding the 20-pound sledge in his hand, the handle extended before him as an antenna. Then they crashed into a blank wall and realized they had reached the dead end of the corridor. They were boxed, trapped. What now? Don't know. Looks like the dead end of my ideas. We can't go back for sure. I'll clobber Dagenham in the offices. I hate that man. Looks like a poison label. You got a flash, girl? Gully, Gisbilla sobbed. Oh, I was counting on you for ideas. No more bombs, you said. Wish I had one now. Could... Wait a minute. He touched the oozing wall against which they were leaning. He felt the checkerboard indentations of mortar seams. Bullets in from G4. This isn't a natural cave wall. It's made. Brick and stone. Feel. Gisbilla felt the wall. So? Means this passage don't end here. Goes on. They blocked it off. Out of the way. He shoved Gisbilla up the passage, ground his hands into the floor to grit his soapy palms, and began swinging the sledge against the wall. He swung in steady rhythm, grunting and gasping. The steel sledge struck the wall with a blunt concussion of stone struck underwater. They're coming, Giz said. I hear them. The blunt blows took on a crumbling, crushing overtone. There was a whisper, then a steady pebble fall of loose mortar. Foyle redoubled his efforts. Suddenly there was a crash, and a gush of icy air blew in their faces. Through, Foyle muttered. He attacked the edges of the hole, pierced through the wall with ferocity. Bricks, stones, and old mortar flew. Foyle stopped and called Gisbilla. Draw it. He dropped the sledge and seized her, and held her up to the chest-high opening. She cried out in pain as he tried to wiggle past the sharp edges. Foyle pressed her relentlessly until she got her shoulders and then her hips through. He let go of her legs and heard her fall on the other side. Foyle pulled himself up and tore himself through the jagged breach in the wall. He felt Gisbella's hands trying to break his fall as he crashed down in a mass of loose brick and mortar. They were both through into the icy blackness of the unoccupied caves of Godfrey Martel, miles of unexplored grottos and caves. By God, we'll make it yet, Foyle mumbled. I don't know if there is a way out, Gully. Gisbilla was shaking with cold. Maybe this is a cul-de-sac, walled off from the hospital. There has to be a way out. I don't know if we can find it. We've got to find it. Let's go, girl. They blundered forward in the darkness. Foyle tore the useless set of goggles from his eyes. They crashed against ledges, corners, low ceilings. They fell down slopes and steep steps. They climbed over a razorback ridge to a level plain, and their feet shot out from under them. Both fell heavily to a glassy floor. Foyle felt and touched it with his tongue. Us, he muttered. Good son. We're in an ice cavern. We're in an ice cavern, Giz. Underground glacier. They arose shakily, straddling their legs, and worked their way across the ice that had been forming in Godfrey Martel abyss for millennia. They climbed down into a stone forest that were stalagmites and stalactites, thrusting up from the jagged floor and down from the ceilings. The vibrations of every step loosened the huge stalactites, ponderous stone spears that thundered down from overhead. At the edge of the forest, Foyle stopped, reached out, and tugged. There was a clear metallic ring. He took Jezebel's hand and placed a long tapering cone of a stalagmite in it. "Cain," he grunted. "Use it like a blonde man." He broke off another, and they went tapping, feeling, stumbling through the darkness. There was no sound but the gallop of panic, their gasping breath and racing hearts, the taps of their stone canes, the continuous drip of water, the distinct rushing of the underground river beneath Godfrey Martel. "Not that way, girl," Foyle nudged her shoulder. "More to your left." "Have you the faintest notion where we're headed, Gully?" "Down, Jiz. Follow any slope that leads down." "You got an idea?" "Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Brains instead of bombs." "Brains instead of—" Jezebel shrieked with hysterical laughter. "You exploded into South Quadrant with a sledgehammer, and that's your idea? Brains instead of... She brayed and hooted beyond all control until Foyle grasped her and shook her. "Shut up, Jiz. If they're tracking us by G-phone, they could hear you from Mars." Sorry, Gully. Sorry, She took a breath. "Why down?" "The river. The one we hear all the time. It must be near. It probably melts off the glacier back there." "The river?" "It must break out into the mountain somewhere. We'll swim." "Gully, you're insane." "What's the matter, you? You can't swim?" "I can swim, but—" "Then we got to try. Got to, Jiz. Come on." The rush of the river grew louder as their strength began to fail. Jezebel pulled to a halt at last, gasping. "Gully, I've got to rest." "Too cold. Keep moving." "I can't." "Keep moving." He felt for her arm. "Get your hands off of me!" she cried furiously. In an instant she was all spitfire. He released her in amazement. "What's the matter with you? Keep your head, Jiz. I'm depending on you."
"For what? I told you we had a plan. Work out an escape. And now you trapped us into this."
"I was trapped myself. Dagenham was going to change my cell. No more whisper long for us. I had to, Jiz. And we're out, aren't we?"
"Out where? We're lost in Godfrey Martel, looking for a damn river to drown in. You're a fool, Gully, and I'm an idiot for letting you trap me into this. Damn you! Damn you! You pull everything down to your imbecile level, and you pulled me down too. Run, fight, punch. That's all you know. Beat, break, blast, destroy. Gully!"
Jezebel screamed. There was a clatter of loose stone in the darkness, and her scream faded down and away to a heavy splash. Foyle heard the thrash of her body in the water. He leapt forward and shouted, "Jiz!" and staggered over the edge of the precipice. He fell and struck the water flat with a stunning impact. The icy river enclosed him, and he could not tell where the surface was. He struggled, suffocated, felt the swift current drag him against the chill slime of rocks, and then there was a bourne bubbling to the surface. He coughed and shouted. He heard Jezebel answer, her voice faint and muffled by the roaring torrent. He swam with the current, trying to overtake her. He shouted, and heard her answering voice growing fainter and fainter. The roaring grew louder, and abruptly he was shot down the hissing sheet of a waterfall. He plunged to the bottom of a deep pool and struggled once more to the surface. The whirling current entangled him with a cold body bracing itself against a smooth rock wall. "Jiz!"
"Gully, thank God!"
They clung together for a moment while the water tore at them.
"Gully!"
Jezebel coughed. "It goes through here." "The river?"
"Yes."
He squirmed past her, bracing himself against the wall, and felt the mouth of an underwater tunnel. The current was sucking them into it. "Hold on!" Foyle gasped. He explored to the left and to the right. The walls of the pool were smooth, without handhold. "We can't climb out. Have to go through."
"There's no air, Gully. No surface."
"Couldn't be forever. We'll hold our breath."
"It could be longer than we can hold our breath."
"Have to gamble."
"I can't do it."
"You must. No other way. Pump your lungs. Hold on to me." They supported each other in the water, gasping for breath, filling their lungs. Foyle nudged Jezebel toward the underwater tunnel. "You go first. I'll be right behind. Help you if you get in trouble."
"Trouble?"
Jezebel cried in a shaking voice. She submerged and permitted the current to suck her into the tunnel mouth. Foyle followed. The fierce waters drew them down, 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 caroming from side to side of a tunnel that had been worn glass smooth. Foyle swam close behind Gisbella, feeling her thrashing legs beat his head and shoulders. They shot through the tunnel until their lungs burst and their blind eyes started. Then there was a roaring again and a surface, and they could breathe. The glassy tunnel sides were replaced by jagged rocks. Foyle caught Gisbella's leg and seized a stone projection at the side of the river. "Got to climb out here," he shouted. "What?" "Got to climb out. You hear that roaring up ahead? Cataracts, rapids, be torn to pieces. Out, Giz." She was too weak to climb out of the water. He thrust her body up into the rocks and followed. They lay on the dripping stones, too exhausted to speak. At last, Foyle got wearily to his feet. "Have to keep on," he said. "Follow the river. Ready?" He could not answer. She could not answer. She could not protest. He pulled her up, and they were stumbling through the darkness, trying to follow the bank of the torrent. The boulders they traversed were gigantic, standing like dolems, heaped, jumbled, scattered into a labyrinth. They staggered and twisted through them and lost the river. They could hear it in the darkness. They could not get back to it. They could get nowhere. "Lost," Foyle grunted in disgust. "We're lost again. Really lost this time. What are we gonna do?" Gisbella began to cry. She made a hopeless yet furious sound. Foyle lurched to a stop and sat down, drawing her down with him. "Maybe you're right, girl," he said wearily. "Maybe I am a damn fool. I got us trapped into this no-jaunt jam and we're licked." She didn't answer. "So much for brain work. Hell of an education you got me," he whispered. "You think we ought to try backtracking to the hospital?" "We'll never make it." "I guess not. We're just practicing my brain. Should we start a racket? Maybe a noise so they can track us by G-phone?" "They'd never hear us. Never find us in time." "We could make enough noise. You could knock me around a little. Be a pleasure for both of us." "Shut up." "What a mess." He sagged back, cushioning his head on a tuft of soft grass. "At least I had a chanceable nomad. There was food, and I could see where I was going. I could..." He broke off and sat bolt upright. "Giz!" "Don't talk so much." He felt the ground under him and clawed up sods of earth and tufts of grass. He thrust them into her face. "Smell this," he laughed. "Taste it. It's grass, Liz. Earth and grass. We must be out of Godfrey Martel." "What?" "It's night outside. Pitch black. Overcast. We came out of the caves and never knew it. We're out, Giz. We made it." They leapt to their feet, peering, listening, sniffing. The night was impenetrable, but they heard the soft sigh of night winds, and the sweet scent of green growing things came to their nostrils. Far in the distance, a dog barked. "My God, Gully," Gisbella whispered incredulously. "You're right. We're out of Godfrey Martel. All we had to do was wait for dawn." She laughed. She flung her arms around him and kissed him, and he returned the embrace. They babbled excitedly. They sat down on the soft grass again, weary, but unable to rest, eager, impatient, all life before them. "Hello, Gully, darling, Gully. Hello, Gully, after all this time." "Hello, Giz." "I told you we'd meet someday. Someday soon. I told you, darling, and this is the day." "The night."
"The night, so it is. But no more murmuring in the night along the whisper line. No more night for us, Gully dear." Suddenly, they became aware that they were nude, lying close, no longer separated. Gisbella fell silent, but did not move. He clasped her, almost angrily, and enveloped her with a desire that was no less than hers. When dawn came, he saw that she was lovely, long and lean, with smoky red hair and a generous mouth. But when dawn came, she saw his face.